Let's go back to middle school and remember that one kid who didn't really pay attention, had trouble with getting good grades, and also was very disruptive. Well, did you ever think they couldn't help their actions? What if they had attention deficit hyperactivity disorder that caused them to have this behavior? And how many children actually have ADHD? Well, according to the Center of Disease Control and Prevention, 5.2 million children were diagnosed with ADHD in 2013. According to the ADAM Medical Encyclopedia, ADHD is a problem of not being able to pay attention, being overactive, and not being able to control their behavior. In the research I've done, I have realized that a complex diagnosis of ADHD is given to a child and is effective throughout their whole life. I'm going to tell you the definition of ADHD, the characteristics of ADHD, and the treatment of ADHD. But to understand ADHD, you have to know the definition. ADHD was recognized as a disorder recently with a specific definition. According to the Mayo Clinic, there are 3 specific parts of this definition. The first part is lack of focus. As ADHD kids think, you think they only think of one thing at a time, but in reality, they're thinking about everything. They think about just everything that's going around them, like noise and movements. So for example, if I was sitting in this classroom and I was giving a speech, like I am today, they would be hearing me talk, but also hear the buzz of the overhead projector and everybody fidgeting in their seat, which makes them not be able to comprehend what I'm saying due to all the distractions around them. The second part of ADHD definition is hyperactivity. Hyperactivity is when you have too much energy. This can be fidgeting or cannot sit down just for a length of period of time. Fidgeting is when you're moving your body. You can't just move, you have to get out your energy. But it can also be in the form of pacing. Teachers in classrooms often mark out areas for kids to pace across the room so they can get out their energy when they're being hyperactive. The third part of the definition is impulsive behavior. Impulsive behavior is when you don't think before you act. For example, if I was a teacher and I said, I'm going to ask a question, so I give you the question and the kid in the back just blurts out an answer. This is impulsive behavior because they did not think to raise their hand before they gave me their answer. A child that has ADHD has at least 2 to 3 parts of this definition in their diagnosis. So they can have problems with focus, and they can also have impulsive behavior and still be considered ADHD. But there are other characteristics to ADHD. ADHD is specifically based off of observed characteristics. Based on information from the Santa Monica College, people with ADHD show characteristics in the classroom from lack of work ethic. They're inattentive to detail when they're doing worksheets or quizzes, so they often make sloppy mistakes in their work. They also don't finish their work as often as other students, so they might come back with a quiz that's half complete, and give it to the teacher incomplete. They also avoid topics that have too much mental effort when they're in the classroom. But they also show characteristics based on lack of organization skills. They have trouble organizing their materials and tasks. So if I was a teacher and I told the student to do an assignment based on the certain directions in this order, they might do the same assignment, but they would get the directions mixed up. They finished the assignment, but they did it incompletely due to lack of listening to directions. They also lose the necessary things to complete their work. Like a student might lose their pencil. This makes them not being able to complete their assignments. These characteristics make it seem impossible for students with ADHD to get through a class. But there are treatments for ADHD. There are a broad range of treatments based on their level of ADHD. According to the Medical Health Guide, the child is protected under IDEA, which is Individuals with Disabilities Education Act. But they have to be on medication first. This medication is a stimulant, like Ritalin or Adderall. So more dopamine gets transferred throughout their body, which increases their concentration while also decreasing their hyperactivity and their impulsive behaviors. But the bad side of this is that it has symptoms, like depression, stomachache, no appetite, dizziness, and mood swings. But if you're not a fan of putting your kids on medicine, there's also another treatment according to ADAM's Medical Encyclopedia. It's therapy. And when a child goes through therapy, they have to have the child in the room as well as the family. The therapy is set for the goals of the child. But they are not protected under IDEA, so they do not receive special education. I have explained this complex diagnosis to you, and I hope you realize how hardworking these kids actually are. I imagine that you were one of these kids. Do you think you could do it? Well, be aware that they are out there, and they're working hard, so please go encourage them as they go off and do the hard work they do.
Many of you in this room, myself included, grew up playing some type of sport. Look back to when you were buying the type of cleats that you needed for this sport. Think about how that one cleat just jumped out at you, but you weren't sure if you should get it because it wasn't for your sport. Is it still appropriate to get? One thing that I've always been concerned about was if I was allowed to get a baseball cleat for my soccer game. After doing some research, I learned that the cleats are much more different than to the naked eye. At first glance, they may seem the same, but when you get down to the makeup of them, they are very different. And this is a very, very important when taking into consideration what type of cleat you're going to buy. Today, I will inform you on the difference between 3 types of cleats: football cleats, baseball cleats, and soccer cleats. First, let's take a look at football cleats. While every cleat has the same function to give a player a good grip on the surface, there's a high difference between football cleats between baseball and soccer cleats. The outsoles of a football cleat is one of the differences. Football cleats have larger knobs that are molded into the bottom of the shoe. This allows for adjustments. You can see these knobs in the pictures on the right. When you see football on TV, you notice that they play in all types of weather conditions, whether it's 75 and sunny or -0 with a hint of blizzard. The NFL team, the Green Bay Packers, have a very soft playing field. This is because of the excess moisture that they get throughout the year. If it rains in the middle of a game, then the staff has to rush to change 53 pairs of the knobs that are on the bottom of these cleats. That way they can adjust the condition of them. These cleats are also heavier than the other two. This is because they need to be able to adjust to the beating they take during the football game. This also increases the durability that they have during the game. They are also more supportive to fit the physical toll in nature that they endure during it. There are also different styles of football cleats. The Livestrong organization explains the difference between the types of cleats and why they are also important. High tops, which you can see on the top left, are one of the types that they use in football. They support the entire ankle and are usually preferred by linemen. This is because they have numerous lateral movements that they have to attain during the game. Mid-cut, which you can see on the bottom, are another type that is used. These surround only a portion of the ankle while still allowing maneuverability. These are popular among defensive backs, running backs, wide receivers, and also quarterbacks. Low cut, which is on the right at the top, is lightweight and it increases the running speed. This is why it's preferred by defensive backs. These allow the players to make quick cuts on the field. The construction of a football cleat is also different. They have thicker soles and are typically made out of leather or the synthetic material. There are 2 basic types of football cleats, those being molded and detachable. Molded cleats are permanently attached to the outside and are generally favored when playing on turf because of the spring and traction that they apply for you. Molded cleats are also less expensive than the detachable ones. The detachable cleats have removable spikes and are capable of being replaced to adjust to the field conditions. This makes it preferable primarily if you are playing on grass. Now that we've talked about football cleats, let's move on to baseball cleats. Baseball cleats have to be able to adjust to a different kind of playing field and also the playing style. One type that is used is called pitcher's toe. This is where there's a plastic or rubber shield that is on the front of the shoe. This is used to protect the pitcher whenever he is pitching. For example, if he were pitching, he would drag his toe into the dirt. Without this shield, then there would be a huge hole where his foot is dragged. The protective shield prevents this from happening. The studs also have a different shape of material to them in football than in football or soccer. The studs are a thin rectangular or square shape to adjust to the dirt. Some are made with metal studs for more adjustment to this dirt, and this is why they are preferred by many infielders. The studs are made from steel for strength and durability and are used in mainly mid and high range models. They are replaceable in case they break off. Another type that is used is elastic plastic. This is another type of stud that is used to prevent the premature breakage that they obtain. These are used because they can bend under pressure, such if you were in a full-out sprint or if you were sliding to base. However, these are not replaceable and they are worn down more quickly. Plastic knobs are also used, can also be used because they cause potential damage to the other players. If a player were sliding towards home plate and the player that he was going near couldn't protect himself because that player is fully running at him and the knobs won't grab onto home plate, such as the metal studs would. Lane Frederick, a footwear expert, says that metal cleats are more ideal because of the better traction that they provide for you. Frederick suggests not using one type of cleat for multiple sports due to the differences in the technicalities that they have. The length of the studs are also different. You use shorter studs for a harder playing surface and the longer studs for a softer playing surface. Now that we looked at football and baseball cleats, let's move on to soccer cleats. The biggest difference between soccer cleats to football and baseball cleats is that is the material that they are made out of. According to Adidas, and also originating from Adidas, there are many types of leather that are used for soccer cleats. This is one of the most important aspects in terms of a soccer cleat. However, many different brands such as Nike use these as well. Kangaroo leather is one type of leather that is used. It is good for speed because it is lightweight, and it also has a glove-like fit for an excellent touch on the ball. However, after wearing for several times or breaking it in, as some people would say, then it molds to your foot. However, it is not as durable, and it is also not waterproof, so they won't last as long. An interesting fact about kangaroo leather is that it is 10 times the tensile strength of cowhide, and it is also 50% stronger than goat skin. And you can see these in the shoes before you on the Nike T90 Laser and the Adidas Adipure. Another type of leather that is used is calfskin leather or full grain. This is used because it is very durable and it is comfortable once they are broken in. This helps develop a great touch on the ball. It is not as soft as kangaroo leather, and it takes a little bit longer to mold to your foot. However, calfskin is the most common leather found on mid to high-end cleats. Examples of these are the Adidas Adi Zero and the Under Armour Dominant. Another type of leather that is used is synthetic leather, or man-made leather. It is durable and retains its shape very well. It is stretch and abrasion resistant, and it also is waterproof and breathable. However, there's a less natural touch and feel to this cleat. It is also slightly stiffer and thicker than kangaroo leather. An interesting fact about synthetic leather is that it is man-made fabric, designed specifically to look better than the other leathers. Examples of these are the Nike CTR360 Maestri and the Nike Vapor. In conclusion, based on what you have heard, I'm sure you can tell that it's not a good idea to use a soccer cleat for a baseball game. Football cleats, baseball cleats, and soccer cleats all have specific features dedicated to their sport. The next time you find yourself at a store trying to buy a new cleat and you think they're all the same, think again. These cleats are going to help you be the very best player that you can be within your sport. Thank you.